Date, July 20th, 1945. Dear Mr. President, the events on the 7th of December of 1941 brought us to the site of a threat to our sovereignty, our principles, and most important, to our freedom, a threat that had to be stopped at all costs. It is known that this war has already taken millions of deaths on both sides. Thousands of young American fellows comrades within these numbers. Japan has been several times in the position to solve this conflict by negotiating with us, but repeatedly refused to our proposals. The Japanese advocation for success, based on their beliefs of a semi-god prior mandate, has drove talks into a frozen state. United States' position of a strong and powerful country must prevail. We cannot let a savage and irrational autocratic regime to unbalance the status quo. Our emerging superpower status must be guaranteed in order to defend the freedom and democracy of the civilized world. On first instance, we tried bombarding Japanese cities with incendiary bombs. Dozens of campaigns have destroyed a large amount of Japan's industrial infrastructure. But even this seems not to have caused the overwhelming superiority we are looking for on the battlefield. The warrior and proud Japanese spirit has not been broken yet. It will stand until the end. Secretary Stimson has provided me the projected scenario. If an invasion to Japan should take place, the number of estimated U.S. troops to lose would be between 20 and 200,000 effectives, while Japanese casualties circles around the same amount. A lot of American soldiers would suddenly die at a very young working age that could better play another role in the task of increasing the economic powers of our nation. Sacrificing America's youth, then, in order to accomplish our goal, is not the most recommended means to achieve this victory. But there's another solution, one you've already heard from the Ministry of War. For years now, since Albert Einstein wrote to the President Roosevelt in order to antagonize the nuclear program of Nazi Germany, we have invested more than $2 billion in the program, on the secret program that has brought together the most prominent minds of this century, and it might finally be ready to be tested again, this time in battle. I have personally analyzed the result of the developing program Manhattan under the command of Dr. J.R. Oppenheimer, which conclude that in a recent test of June 16, a plutonium-based device was successfully detonated at a New Mexico's base camp. Although the concern that the fission process used as a trigger may have had a negative reaction in the composition of Earth's atmosphere, this was categorically refuted by Dr. Oppenheimer, and also didn't happen at the Trinity test site. The capability of this new potential weapon lies on the amount of energy issued to the mean, as stated by Einstein's theory of general relativity. This happens by the splitting of an atom, which releases enormous quantities of energy, in this case the equivalent of 20 kilotons of TNT. Mathematics state that the reach of the device can be predictable. They predict that damage wave to be in a range between 10 and 50 miles, including fallout damage. This is something never seen. United States has in its power the most destructive weapon of all time. Demonstrating our combat superiority, we should ensure the rise of the United States as a major superpower on the international scene. During the Yalta Conference held in February of this year under the administration of President Roosevelt, Premier Stalin of the Soviet Union stated his wish to intervene on the Pacific. We must take in account that Soviets are the last chance of Japan to achieve peace by negotiation means. The non-aggression pact between the two countries is still valid so far. Japan could look for peace talks by the intermediation of Stalin, not fulfilling the unconditional surrender we are looking for, and not granting emperor's resignation in name of democracy. After the Berlin campaign and the defeat of Germany, the Soviet Union has shown such an interest in Eastern and Central Europe. The communist expansion to Europe is already a major threat to Western civilization. Letting this despotic Bolshevik menace to spread out into the Pacific as well would antagonize our hegemonic influence around the world. There is a rumor of information about the nuclear project of United States being filtered by Soviet intelligence. We cannot lay down crossed arms while the communists develop their own nuclear weapon. In words of Secretary Stevens addressed to me, he said, I firmly believe that a demonstration of American destructive capacity by the use of an A-bomb against a common enemy would most likely curtail Stalin's urge to assert Soviet domination over Eastern Europe and Germany. So I am positive and completely convinced that if the United States decides to throw the bomb, Japan and the Soviets would surrender right after throwing them and would never try to commit another incident as this one. It is our responsibility to show them and the rest of the countries that are trying to bring us down that we are strong and powerful. After Japan surrenders, we could make peace with them and end this situation in good terms, establishing once again a good relationship.